Hello everyone and welcome to This Week in Stupid for the 24th of October 2021. I did get a lot of messages from you guys asking me why I didn't upload any videos on Friday on all of my channels. And that's because I had no power. There was a power outage, so no internet. I had to do drastic things like go downstairs and speak with my wife. Turns out she's a very nice woman. Who would have known? I guess I'll have to do that more often. But now that the boomer jokes are out of the way, I guess we can talk about more important things. For example, did you know that last week we celebrated International Pronoun Day? Of course you didn't know that because you're a bigot. But that's okay, there's always time to learn. Unfortunately, this knowledge is gated by a price wall. You have to go to some of the most prestigious universities in the world, like Oxford, like Columbia University, in order to actually learn about pronouns. But because you have been so smart as to subscribe to my channel, I'm going to teach you all about pronouns for free. Do you see how kind I am? Do you see how compassionate I am? I am giving you the knowledge of the elites. And I'm going to get my little assistant in order to lecture all of you bigots into the ways of the pronouns. Do you see how much you benefit from subscribing to my channel? I have now passed wisdom onto you. And I hope that someone from Oxford University is watching this so they may consider offering me a job. I have the ability of teaching people some of the most progressive and some of the most enlightened concepts humankind has ever created. I know more than pronouns, but this is my specialty. I can lecture the masses. I can teach people. Oxford, please give me a job. And while we're on the subject of pronouns, we're going to look at what has transpired in Spain. There was a literary competition offering the winner a prize of 1 million euros. And the jury decided that the person who should win this award was a woman going by the name of Carmen Mola. Now, the only thing people knew about Carmen was a black and white picture with her turning away from the camera. However, once the prize was given, the real Carmen Mola appeared, and it turns out it was a pseudonym, and the story was actually written by 3 cisgender, straight, white men destroying the diversity initiative of the jury. But what I want to say is that this is literally they, them. Get it? Because it's a literary competition. The jokes. I should stop with the jokes because they're very harmful. They're very dangerous. I mean, like a wizard, you can end up casting spells that hurt people in the guise of jokes. Look here, you bigot. NPR, for Dave Chappelle, punchlines are theirs. His new special, The Closer, goes too far. Too often in The Closer, it just sounds like Chappelle is using white privilege to excuse his own homophobia and transphobia. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the face of white privilege. And again, like a wizard, he is casting spells. He manages to hurt people with the power of vocal cords and magical incantations. Because of that, the people who got hurt, the marginalized people who hold a lot of power at Netflix, organized a rally in order to condemn Dave Chappelle. They were the last line of defense, the only hope that vulnerable people in the United States had. The workers at Netflix. Now, Dave Chappelle casted, yet again, his wizardry and mind control people in order to go against his detractors.
We like jokes! We like jokes!
What do we like?
We like jokes! got away. Oh, you want me to drop my weapon? Yes.
Okay.
And leave. There's my weapon.
We're not trying to have any discussion.
I'm not discussing anything.
You're talking We're trying not to have any discussion.
I'm just here to say that jokes are funny, people. Dave Chappelle is a funny guy. I love Dave. I don't know why all the violence. I don't know why all the hate. I just love Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle! It's the Talk Back Comedy. Dave Chappelle. They took my stick. My stick. They took it. My side, I need my post-report in $2.99.
Now, luckily, the most esteemed holy warriors in our society, the Associated Press, have tried to power word name this demon by doxing him. Unfortunately, even the holy warriors sometimes can be wrong, so they have issued a retraction. Correction around the Netflix Chappelle protest. Correct caption to remove reference to Gesualdi using profanities, which he did not do at the moment the image was made. So he may have used profanities after the image was made, not completely invalidating the holy warrior journalist's claims, or he could have used profanities before. But during the event, he definitely did not use. So a retraction was issued. Also removes reference to protesters being peaceful because one protester destroyed his sign. Well, absolutely. This is why you want to be on the left. You want to be on the winning side because their speech is violence, but your violence is speech. So you get to position yourself in a place of power and strength in society. They get to use words and you get to use self-defense. It is the motto of the progressive man, isn't it? Now, while we're on the subject of the progressive man, who is more progressive than Justin Trudeau? The man who transcended blackface. The man who is a miracle on humanity. He did something that would have gotten any other mortal cancelled, but because of his power of progressivism, because of his unity, and most importantly, because of his strength, he transcended the cancel culture. So he is the most progressive man, and do you know what he cares about the most? He cares about the tous LGBTQIA. Do you know what tous LGBTQIA is? Look here. People across the country are lighting candles to honor indigenous women, girls, and the tous LGBTQIA plus. People who are missing or have been murdered. We must continue to work together, raise awareness, advocate to end this ongoing national tragedy. So let me get it straight. Like, people are missing, but indigenous women, girls, and the LGBTQIA most affected. You know, I wanted to see if I'm pronouncing correct, the LGBTQIA. So I actually wanted to hear it from the proverbial horse's mouth.
I will never apologize for standing up for an LGBTQ2 plus kids' rights.
Now, I have heard on the internet that some people are pushing the fake narrative that the LGBTQIA is actually not really a community. Because a community implies that the people know each other or are related to each other or have a lot of things in common. But the LGBTQIA is just like an artificial community created by politicians as a cheap way of winning votes. I don't believe that, okay? I don't believe that for a second. I think Politico needs to do his job. I think the fact checkers need to get up their fat asses and actually go where they're needed the most to heal our society and bring back unity and strength. What you see with Justin Trudeau is the fact that he is so emotional speaking about the most important community right now because it's the most vulnerable and requires the most attention, more so than the homeless and any other community in the world. And he just stumbled a little bit. He was lost for words. He was taken over by the emotions because he realized just how much bigotry is in the world and how good it is that a person like him is placed in a position where he can actually do something about it. Although I have to notice something. Yet again, I notice this a lot with Canada and the United States. You will see the person in power without the mask, and behind them, you have people with the mask. I'm only talking from like an optics perspective. It shows that this is the most progressive person in the room, right? So if you become so progressive like Justin Trudeau, and you manage to gain an important function in society like the prime minister or the president, then you too cannot wear a mask. I think it's just to embolden people, to make them try to become better citizens, to make them try to be more progressive, and then to make them try in climbing that ladder until they get to the point where they too can be in front of the cameras without a mask while the people behind them having a mask. Because otherwise you can't explain it, right? Like, if they choose not to wear a mask, why can't they make sure that there's no one around them just so you don't have the optics? Or why can't they wear a mask as well, right? It's all about the optics. It's like, no, this is the stronger person in the room. It's like the one that's the most progressive. And behind them, also progressive people, but just not as strong, not as unified, and not as healed like the person in front, right? Like, am I understanding it correctly? Fact checkers, please fact check me on this. I require some fact check. Where is Politico when you need them, damn it? Because our democracy is in danger. And I think I know how to fortify it. You just need to put the fact checkers into the 911 emergency call. When you call 911, you should have access to the police, to the firefighters, to the medical staff, of course, but also to the fact checkers. Should be like 911 emergency, how may I help you? I need a fact check right now! I've been on Facebook and I found information and I don't know what to make of it! If I don't know right now, if fact checkers don't help me right now, people could die if I'm being misled! Misinformation is dangerous! I can be misinformed! I need Politico right now! Can you imagine just how awesome of a society that would be? Like, you would not be misinformed ever. Like, it would be a society of truth, healing, and unity. No more lies. I mean, right now, if I go on the press, let's look at some of the articles that I may find. It's time to give up on facts, or at least to temporarily lay them down in favor of a more useful weapon, emotions. Hallowed be Slade, they are doing God's work. Questioning authority has become too much of a good thing, and it's killing people. You understand this? It's the first responsibility of every citizen to question authority, said Benjamin Franklin, probably a bigot. You must not do your own research when it comes to science, but most importantly, from the holy New York Times, I bring you the word, don't go down the rabbit hole. Critical thinking, as we're taught to do it, isn't helping in the fight against misinformation. This is why I'm saying you need 911 call directly to the fact checkers. And whenever you see something online, you dial 911, and then you have the fact checker do the critical thinking for you, and then telling you what to think. That would be the best society. My God, I love the mainstream media. They help me become intelligent. The more you read, the more intelligent you become. And they also free up so much time. Do you know how difficult it was before the mainstream media? I had to critically think, like use my brain. It was tiresome. But now the media does the thinking for me. So you just go at the New York Times and you find this and it says, no, Australia is not actually an evil dictatorship. Okay, see, now I know. Now I don't have to do any more investigation. There's an article. It's paid by a person. It's on an authoritative source. Case closed. You don't have to look it forward, because if you look it forward, you get confused. I mean, look here. New biking laws. Bikers can't display tattoos, gather in public, wear their insignias in Australia. What's the penalty? 1 to 5 years in prison. See? Now I'm confused. I'm like, well, this sounds a little bit dictatorial-like. I mean, it's a little bit odd. And now my brain is a little bit... Now, if I keep reading, I will see... Australian police can now hack your device, collect or delete your data, take over your social media account, all without a judge's warrant after Bill rushed in the parliament in the last 24 hours. You get all these bad ideas in your head. Now I'm thinking Australia might actually be a bad place. You know, this is why you need to listen to the New York Times and not do your own investigation like this. South Australian authorities can use any force necessary. South Australia has broad powers under its major emergency declaration, which has recently been extended until September 19th. Authorized officers can do the following: break into any land, building, structure, or vehicle using whatever force necessary. Direct or prohibit the movement of people, animals, or vehicle. Put people into quarantine. Order people to undergo medical examinations, tests, or treatment. Compel people to give information. Take the aspirin, bigot. Just take the aspirin. Now snitch. Now snitch. What did your neighbor do? Did your neighbor not take the aspirin? Police in uniform don't have to show their credentials before exercising these powers. Non-uniformed officers need a certificate of authority, but only have to show it if requested. Man, you know what? I'm going to go back to the New York Times. Australia is not actually an evil dictatorship, alright? It's not. The New York Times says it. I don't care what else is happening. Look, if the New York Times says 2 + 2 = 5, then it becomes 5. Simple as. Also, don't ever think that what's happening in Australia can happen in your country. Alright? Never. It can never happen. It just... Look, ideology is just locked by borders. Like, once something happens into a country, it is absolutely impossible that will happen in another nation. So even if, by some miracle, the fact checkers would be wrong and the New York Times would not know that Australia is actually an evil dictatorship in disguise, it will never come in other countries like the US or like the United Kingdom or Canada. No, it's just locked there. It stays there forever. Although, you gotta ask, is that really a good thing? Because I'm starting to love those Australian police officers more and more. That is now my favorite job. If YouTube doesn't make it out, if my channel will ever go down, I know what I want to be. I want to be an Australian police officer. Not just any police officer, an Australian police officer. Just walking the streets, carrying so much power. It changes a man. You see, Australian police officers aren't racist. They've transcended racism. They now look at everyone as a potential suspect. So when they see someone without a mask drinking some coffee, they automatically assume that the person is just using the coffee cup in order to walk around with a bare face. And they have to check it.
Us, myself included, I work out.
Do you just mind if I check if there's actually anything in that?
Oh, yeah, there's coffee in there.
Enjoy your coffee.
Thank you. Jesus loves you all. God bless. I'll be praying for you all.
See, no crime will slip past unnoticed. Those Australian police officers are the most vigilant in the world. There is now 0% crime in Australia. That's how good the Australian police officers are. Fund the Australian fund them. Give them money. Anyway, let's talk about what goes on in America. Although, I should not use that term anymore, and neither should you. You see, according to the National Recreation and Park Association Equity Language Guide, instead of using Americans, you should use residents or members of a community. Not to be confused with the tous LGBTQ. That is Canadian culture. Americans, completely different. Let's see what's going on in America, though.
Hey. So got to what? 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 So got to no no so got to what? So got to what? So got so got to what? So got to what? Oh, so good. And eventually, I get to go home, and I get all of my feathers, Then I ask you, please tell me the secret Indian chant. Please. And then I hear. Because obviously this is ridiculous. Wow, look!
You okay?
I just ran into the rock god. Oh my god. And he spit out. Sorry. This is just too much. He spit out these beautiful rocks, which my children painted. I pulled them out of my pantry. No, wait, no, but the rock god did this. Oh. Thank you, rock god, for these beautiful.
As you can see, in America, in the place where you have members and residents of a community, there are multiple crises going on. One of those crises seems to be inflation. But luckily, America has an army of progressive journalists that are going to fix the crisis. You see, when a country becomes so progressive, so forward-thinking, it's kind of like the orcs in Warhammer 40k. If you have a lot of progressives into one place, they can will things into being just by believing in them. So for example, if the orcs in Warhammer 40k believe that red cars go faster, they actually do. If they believe that if you paint a bomb in yellow, it explodes harder, it actually does. So with the power of progressivism, with the power of subjectivity, if you can make inflation identify itself as part of the solution rather than the problem, it becomes part of the solution. It's all in your mind. It's mind over matter. That is the epitome of progressive ideology. It's why it's peak human existence. So for example, in the Wall Street Journal, at times like these, inflation isn't all bad. Inflation might be part of the solution for an economy undergoing a complex transition. So the economy should change its pronouns. Right now, the pronouns of the economy are poor, poverty, destitute, but it can just change its pronouns to rich, wealth, and prosperity, and all of a sudden, all the problems go away. It's just in your mind. Like everything in the world is in your mind. Everything is subjective. Now, I may suggest a tactic that is tried and true and was used in my country of Romania during socialism. You just put a food curtain in the stores to make it seem as if the stores are empty. And then you treat any person that says otherwise the same way you would treat Dave Chappelle. The same way you treat J.K. Rowling. So anyone that disagrees or denies the existence of stacked shelves and stacked stores is a bigot, and he is part of the problem. Like he is actually bringing starvation and famine with his hateful rhetoric. So if everyone just believes and admits that the stores are filled, then the problem goes away. And the people in charge can focus on other problems rather on this trivial shit. Finally, I would also want to give honorable mention to the Washington Post, who's also trying its best in order to make the problems go away. Don't rant about short-staffed stores and supply chain woes. Try lowering your expectations. This is what Americans need to do. Like, what, are you some kind of bigot, like expecting things on the stores? What is nonsense? We are trying to become progressives here. We are trying to shape reality with the power of our mind. But this can only work as long as everyone plays along. If we have a single person that is not part of the unity, then that is why we have the problem. Do these fucking peasants actually expect food on the shelves of stores? Egad, Jeff Bezos was heard saying. By the way, apparently there's also a working supply shortage, which is adding to the empty stores. And Walmart versus whiteness. Hourly employee guilty of internalized racial superiority. Yeah, I just don't understand why there's a shortage of workers. Why? Why don't you go there to lecture and learn something? Look, when you go to Walmart, it's like going to a university. The path of knowledge and wisdom is open to you, bigot. Just work at Walmart and allow them to educate you. Allow them to shape you as a human being. You are like clay. Like, and Walmart is the mold. Like, they need to shape you to create a better person so that you can use your mind to shape reality. And then with the power of the mind, we can pretend that I got super chats. Yes, that's right. I identify as a YouTuber who got a lot of super chats. I'm going to go to the bank and ask them for the money because that's how it works. I'm so progressive right now. If you like this segment, then please share it around on social media. Share it with your friends. Hopefully, if you laugh, they will laugh. And maybe then they will share it. And don't forget that I do a live stream right after this with the news that I haven't covered in this segment. Because there's a lot of stupidity every week. And unfortunately, I don't have the time to fit it all in. So if you go down in the comment section, you can click on the pinned comment that it will take you to my live stream, which I will start right after this is over. And in the meantime, enjoy the outro song.
She's no stranger to love. She knows the rules, and so do you. A strong commitment, what she's thinking of. You won't get this from any other gal. She just wants to tell you how she's feeling. Gotta make you understand. She's never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna turn around and desert you. Get on my live stream already.